All right. So first of all, the email sequence. Oh wait, I can see from StreamYard that you're not seeing it. Okay, now you are. There's a delay. Okay, the email sequence. Why is it important? Well, hopefully I already mentioned some of those reasons, but the top four are it solidifies any leads that you have that come into your sphere, whether that's into your funnel or into your Facebook group or just responding to your social media posts, or like maybe they're signing, maybe you have an email newsletter and they sign up through a blog post that you wrote, whatever it is, or like a podcast you appear on. So many ways to get people into your sphere. So you want to get them on your email list. And with the email list, you can follow up with them and introduce them to you and give value and educate about yourself and your business and teach them things and eventually make offers. So that's why it's so important. Also, value, value, value. You're going to want to make sure that they, have a good reason to be on your list and to stay there. You want to get them addicted to your content. You want it to be so packed with value that there's no way they wouldn't open an email from you if they see it in your inbox, So that's why the welcome email sequence is so important, because if you lose people with that, they might just delete your emails forever after or unsubscribe. So I'll get into the welcome email sequence first, but let's go over these reasons. You can make more offers to them. A lot of people make the mistake of someone gets on their list and they just hit them, boom, 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 immediately with offer after offer. I have to admit, I made this mistake in my Facebook group because I had so many people coming in that I was interviewing, and they had their own offers, and I wanted to make sure that people knew about them. And so I think I went too offer heavy. So you just want to it's fine to make offers, but just make sure you're hitting them with a lot of value before you do that, or at least you're sprinkling that in. So you need to balance it out, and we'll go over that sequence in a minute. It's also important because the fortune is in the follow-up. I can't tell you how many times I've sent out emails, like cold pitch emails trying to get new clients for my copywriting business, and they didn't respond to my first email. And then I created like a really funny email sequence, which I got from John Bookin, who, by the way, is like the king of cold pitch emails. I had to learn about cold pitching because I was scared of it, even though I'm a copywriter. I know it sounds funny, but I learned some techniques from him about how to be like, use a mixture of humor, irreverence, and self-deprecation to get people, to win people over, and it works. Every time I use one of his templates, it works. But enough of that pitch there, but I can drop the link to his stuff if you guys are interested. Just let me know. So I had a funny email sequence that was like kind of a going through the stages of a breakup, like if they didn't respond to my email, they would get another email that was like, okay, I'm in the anger phase. Why aren't you writing me back? And then the next one is, I'm in the grief stage. I'm, so sad you didn't write me back. And then it goes into acceptance and down the line. And, it's very funny. So usually by email number 2 or 3, I would start to get responses if people didn't respond right away. People still feel compelled in this society to be polite, believe it or not, even to marketers, especially if you already have a relationship with that person. Like, these were not emails going out to completely cold lists. They went out to my LinkedIn connections. So chances are they had met me or at least heard my name before. So because I kept showing up in their inbox, they're like, oh, I really should reply back to Heidi so she doesn't think I'm rude. So there's still some social pressure to do that. So you never know. If no one responds to your first email, they might respond to number 2 or number 3. So that's why it's important to have like a flow going. So this is why, we learn, like in the One Funnel Way challenge, although they don't go too deeply into this, which is why, so I hope this is helpful, that if you connect your email autoresponder to your funnel and you send out an email sequence, that will enable you to start building a list of potential customers that you completely own and no one can take away from you. Because Facebook could shut down tomorrow. We could all lose our connections in our groups, although hopefully, you're being smart and collecting those email addresses, but nobody can take away your email list. So that is why it is so important. So without further ado, why email? Well, I saw this quote the other day. It's still relevant. Email marketing is 70% more effective than social media. So getting emails is the most important thing. So with social media posts, you're competing with everything else in somebody's feed. It doesn't live very long. You probably have like 10 to 15 seconds, or I don't know, a few minutes where you're actually at the top of somebody's feed. So email marketing is definitely the better way to stand out. And whoever said you're late, you're not late. I started late, but I'm still going to use my hour and fit this in the next 25 minutes. So don't worry. You are not late. I'm just glad you're here. So before you get into writing any of these sequences, just want to reiterate this. I'm sure a lot of you already know this or have thought about this, but you need to know who your ideal customer avatar is. So in other words, who you're actually writing these emails to. Now, if you have a business, you already have a product or offer, then chances are you already know this. You've at least thought about it, even if you haven't, taken that step of like actually creating customer profiles and actually writing out who your ideal customer avatar is. So just make sure you've answered these questions. Who is your demographic? So all those demographic details, all those things that you have to select when you create a Facebook ad, that's all relevant. So things like their name, age, marital status, number of kids they have, or if they don't have kids, single or married, where they live, their occupation, their job title, their annual income, their education level, anything else that's crucial to your business. So this might include things like, what books, podcasts, or blogs do they consume? What gurus do they follow? This is all relevant because you want to always have these things in mind whenever you're writing copy. The next one is, what problems do they have? Usually these fit within the big three: health, wealth, and relationships. As Russell taught us, most products that entrepreneurs create fit into one of those categories, because these are the top three areas where people need help. And then what do you do to solve their problems? So make sure you know that. I'm sure you do. If you went through the process of creating a funnel, you had to think about that, include that on your sales page. And then what are their potential objections? The sooner you can address their objections before they even bring them up, the more sales you'll make, the more successful you'll be. So that can also go into your email flow, and I'll show you how. I wonder why comments aren't showing up on Facebook for me. I can see you guys in StreamYard, but not Facebook. Oh, Coach Corey, you were late. Well, you're not late. You're right on time. So here's an example of a good ICA. His name is Teddy. Some people like to name their ideal customer avatars. You don't have to, but it kind of helps to get the picture in your mind. He's 35. He's single. He lives in a small city in Southern California. He's unmarried, doesn't have kids. He's a VP of marketing. He makes $120K plus, and he's a college graduate. So if you know that like most people you serve fit into those kind of demographics, it will make it a lot easier when you're writing your emails. So more about this, you also want to think about what their goals and values are. So what are people working for in their lives? What motivates them? What do they get up for every day? Think about that. What do they use as their sources of information? I mentioned this before, but it does really help to know what books, blogs, magazines, podcasts, Facebook groups, websites, and gurus your people are consuming. So I'm a funnel copywriter. Everything in my business is pretty much based on ClickFunnels. So I know that people are reading like .com secrets. They have expert secrets. They probably read Jeff Walker launch. This is like the Bible for product launches, and I have it out because I have a section on the pre-launch email sequence. They're probably in the ClickFunnels official Facebook group. They might be in this group. They might be in Alex Elliott's DM hose. They might be in my group. So just make sure you know all that before you get started. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, there are challenges and pain points, because you can't create a good lead magnet or an opt-in that actually gets you their email without knowing this. If you want it to convert, you need to know this. So, for example, maybe their pain point is financial stress and boredom. So you're going to want to address this in your sales funnel copy, your Facebook ad, and your follow-up email sequence. So like your content might be helping them figure out how you can save people time and money, and what their perceived objections might be to whatever you're creating. So maybe it's like, I don't have time. You're talking about how to save people time. Maybe they're like, I don't even have time to take your course or join your coaching program. You can help them figure out how to fit it in. Like Russell Brunson does this with the One Funnel Away Challenge. He's like, one of the first things he makes everybody do is block out time in your calendar and actually write it down and be like, okay, I don't have any time, so I guess I'm going to have to get up an hour early, or I'm going to have to work on this after the kids are in bed, or, instead of taking a lunch break, I'm going to do the trainings. So things like that. Their objections. So figure out what role objections might play in their purchase process, because ultimately, right, in your email sequence, you are selling people something, even if it's just you're selling them on you. You want them to like be in your sphere, maybe join your Facebook group, even if you're not selling them something immediately. Melissa, you're here too. Yay. And Nathan, wow, what a great crew. Thanks for showing up, guys. So one way to do this to figure out objections is you can send a survey via email to people who keep re-engaging with your emails but not taking action. Like maybe you're asking them to sign up to your program or join your Facebook group or something, and they're just not doing it. So, put out a survey and give them an incentive for taking it. So offer to send them something for free if they'll just tell you what's holding them back, or, give them a big discount on your program. Then you can take their answers and turn them into an FAQ and put that in your funnel. So you can do this survey in your emails or in your Facebook group. So that's a great way to just get that information. So now let's get right into the types of email sequences. I'm going to cover 5 different types. So, I have a lot to cover in like 20 minutes or so. So let's get into it. So the welcome email sequence, this is just, the most general type of sequence that I'm guessing every single one of us will create at some point. I write these for other people all the time. It's one of my services. And they can really vary. Sometimes if it's like a SaaS product, then I'm introducing people to all the different features of the product, and that might include sharing how-to videos, and like maybe each email talks about a different feature, and maybe one email is about the upgrade offers, things like that. But the general purpose is to welcome new people to your list, which creates a connection with your funnel opt-ins or your people who sign up to your email list. So, this doesn't have to come in, you don't have to come in hard with talking about what you're selling. You might just be introducing people to you and to your company and like to your origin story. So with your first email, you want to educate people. So first explain what they can expect from your email series, because people like to know what they just signed on for, right? And why it will and how it will help and support them. And you can even, a lot of people mention like how often they'll be sending emails, because it's good to kind of prepare people for that. If you're like, well, I'm going to be sending you an email every day for the next 7 days, and then you'll only get one from me once a week, that might be helpful, and it might prevent people from unsubscribing. If they're like, what, I didn't know this guy was going to email me every day, that's too much, but if you're like, oh, it's just for 7 days, they might be okay with it. You can also, in that first email, you can kind of go into your origin story a little bit, hook people on you, and it start creating that connection, like kind of drive it home to people why they're following you and why they signed on with you and what you have to offer. The next email can be value. The next several emails really should be just value. So like teach people how to do something. Teach people how to do something that's related to whatever you're selling, whether it's a course. You could teach people, like give them just enough information to be dangerous, but to where if they want to go all the way with it, they would need to sign on with whatever your offer is. Or just, it could be something as simple as sharing a timeline of what building your business looked like. So you're kind of talking about how you got to where you are today. It doesn't have to be directly teaching somebody something. It could just be you saying, well, this is how I became an entrepreneur. And you might give people some inspiration. Another email can be a soft pitch. So you're overcoming common objections that people have when they come to you, and you just make soft asks. So like you're not doing a hard sales pitch. You might just be asking people to register for a webinar where they can learn more about your offer, or you're asking people to join your Facebook group. Just, be like, hey, you can get more of this type of value. If this is helpful to you, I love to have you in my Facebook group where we talk about this stuff every day. and it's a supportive community of people who help each other. Then, eventually you can do more of a hard pitch. You're still overcoming objections, but the point here is to get them over the hump of buying. So you're going to be very clear about your ask, and you might also ask what's holding them back. So it could be something like, hey, Corey, I know you joined my list because you want to learn how to write your own sales copy, but I noticed you haven't registered for one of my webinars yet. What's holding you back? Are you worried you won't have time? Are you worried you're not a good enough writer? Well, my course will do exactly that. It will teach you how to write sales copy, even if you're not a natural writer, even if you get writer's block and you just stare at that blinking cursor forever and you feel frozen. So just as an example. Here's a sample layout. And this is like a 12 email sequence, and it doesn't have to be this long. I usually write 5 email sequences for people, 5 to 6. So you could stop at number 6, or you can kind of repeat it. So number 1, educate people about the series, introduce yourself. Number 2 is pure value. Maybe you're sharing a guide, or you'd share one of your old opt-ins that you created, old lead magnets, a cheat sheet, a how-to training video, something like that. Number 3, pure value, some more of the same. Maybe it's one of your top blog articles that people have really loved, or maybe it's a Facebook Live interview that you did, something like that. Number 4, you're educating more about you and your service, and then maybe there's a soft pitch. So like, hey, if this sounds interesting, sign up for my webinar where I go into this in more detail, or come join my Facebook group so you can learn more about this. Then you want to hit them with more pure value, more trainings, how-tos, whatever. And only then would you hit them with a hard pitch. So like you're not even pitching people till email number 6. And that's where you might, you're still not using like super hardcore sales language, but maybe you're like, hey, I hope all these emails have been helpful to you. I go into this in a lot more detail and depth in my 30-day challenge. Here's a link to sign up if you're interested. And then you could, if you're not getting response, go into the whole thing again. Just repeat it. So that's a typical welcome email sequence. So best practices, because I'm sure like this all sounds great, but you still might be wondering, well, what kind of content should I put? Like how do I add value? So here's some tips to help you come up with content ideas. So one is look for information that you're already constantly sending people. Like what kind of questions are you answering in DMs on Facebook or LinkedIn? What FAQs do you already have in your funnel? What are people asking in your Facebook group? It could be just really basic, like what you charge, who do you serve, what's the most exciting part of your business, but just don't talk about parts of your business you don't love, because that's not gonna like win people over. So then what you can do is create a huge document of things you've already created, so you have all that in one place. So your old sales copy, your checklist, your lead magnets, any customer testimonials you have. I get emails from people that are nothing but customer testimonials. So it's just kind of that social proof thing of like, oh, wow, these people who are just like me are loving this guy and what he's selling. Maybe I should consider it more, And if you don't have this information, you can ask your best customers. They're always going to be your best source of intel. You can ask them like, what Facebook Live interview that I've done in the last 3 months did you find the most valuable? Or what in my funnel is the most relevant to you? Or like, which of my blog posts did you like the most? Whatever it is, you can always just ask your best customers directly. If they love you, then they won't mind answering that. Also for content, make your emails relatable and make sure it's in your own voice and your own style. Make them funny. Humor and irreverence are always a great way to win people over. And when people hire me to write their email sequences, I love it if they'll let me get a little absurd, get funny, like kind of use some self-deprecation. I'm writing one right now for somebody who has a service that's like an IMDb for people in the games industry. And there's just a lot of things I can poke fun at. And I used to work in gaming, so it's easy for me to do. So I kind of poke fun at like nerd stuff, and like, you log onto this site to have claim all your game credits in one place. And I'm like, it's your ultimate nerd cred calling card. So like being able to inject humor is always going to help you, because it's going to make people smile. Then they'll have a positive association with seeing your name in their inbox, and they'll be more likely to open it. So here's some more ideas for content. You can use previously written responses to customers, blog posts or articles, recorded videos. If you've already done trainings or walkthroughs or whatever, reuse those. You can always repurpose content. Customer testimonials, content that answers common objections, any favorite graphics you've saved that are related to your industry or your work. Like this could be an infographic. And always your origin story and the why of your business. We learned to do this in the One Funnel Way Challenge for a reason, because people respond to stories and they want to get to know you. So you can always like break up your origin story into more bite-sized pieces and kind of drip those out over time. So some more best practices here. So the ratio of value to ask can be 3 to 1. So include a lot of value and only make an ask later. Have people look forward to your info. So we're going to talk about this more in the soap opera sequence. You kind of leave people hanging and leave something dangling and be like, well, I'm going to get into, I'll tell you the next part of the story in my next email. Look out for that tomorrow. Again, make a list of all the freebies you have, guides, gifts, webinar recordings, old blogs, old opt-ins, anything, other value-based resources to support your funnel objective, and reuse those. Some more best content practices. Concepts are often easier to understand with graphics. So if it's something really like kind of technical that has to do with your business, get those graphics or use video. People, find that much easier to consume than just reading a bunch of words. Again, FAQs, use relatable language, make it about you and your mission, but also about them and the most likely issues that they're facing, which would lead them to come to you for help. Let them know exactly how to buy from you, where they can find you, and talk about your key products. So those are some general content tips for the welcome email sequence. So now we're going to talk about the nurture email sequence, which is often what would follow on from a good welcome email sequence. And this is exactly how it sounds. The purpose is to build relationships and provide value. So you're really making this sequence all about them, all about the customer, and less about you. It's okay to talk about yourself in the welcome email sequence. After all, you want people to really get to know you and who you are and what you stand for. So this is why this is a good follow-on. So this typically, like I said, goes out after the welcome sequence. So that flow might look like this. You're going to help and educate people. So it's a great opportunity to do that survey thing. Ask your leads if they have any questions, if there's anything you can explain further, or send your FAQ answers to them, your training videos, etc. You want to make them customer-centric. So don't make those emails about you or your company. Rather, make them about the customer and their pain points, because this will help them feel empowered. Don't do any sales pitches in these emails. It's pure value and pure like, hey, I'm here to help you. So people will lose interest if you go right into talking about your programs and your features and your pricing and things like that. Just remember that this is about helping them get to the next level. Always tweak and improve these emails. So don't leave these ones on autopilot. Don't just put them in your autoresponder and forget about it. It's really important to go back and analyze your results. So most autoresponders have reports. They tell you how many people opened that email, if anyone unsubscribed from that email. If you get a bunch of unsubscribes from one email, that probably wasn't doing what you wanted it to do, if it's actually repelling people. So tweak any content that isn't performing well. That's important. Some more best content practices. So what do you put in these emails? Great question. Hey, Anna, glad you're here. I did your meditation earlier today. It popped up at the right time. I was like, I need to meditate. What should I do? So good job. So base content around the customer's goals. Like, do they need to learn how to use your software? Get them to a place where they're ready for your coaching. Figure out the main problems your product or offer solves for people, and then create content buckets around that. So creating content buckets is something I did a lot as a social media manager. And all you're doing is you're kind of looking at all the content you already have and figure out kind of what the main themes are of that content, and then, bucketing them together. So like for my copywriting business, it might be obviously teaching people about copywriting. I might have a bucket that's like funnels, using funnels to get leads. Another one that's lead generation, because copywriting is very closely tied into lead generation. So maybe those are my 3 buckets, and maybe all my content is based around those 3 things. Also, again, survey your audience. You can offer an incentive to get your customers to answer a short survey, because I know it's hard to get people to like answer surveys, especially if you're asking a lot of questions or longer answers. I think the best thing to do is make it short and keep it multiple choice. And then maybe at the end you have like, is there anything else you want to tell me? And then they could write a big paragraph if they want to, but most people won't. But as an incentive to get, it's not a bribe, it's an incentive. You might offer them something that they'll want, like a discount on your service, like a one-time only discount, or like a lead magnet that you haven't offered anywhere else. So then the purpose for this is, it's bad to just assume what your customers want to know. So if you ask them directly, it will ensure that they're truly being nurtured. So ask what their current biggest challenges are in their business. You also want to always be educating. So your email flow could be something like a series of tutorials on different ways to use your product or service. So like a lot of how-to stuff, a lot of just pure value. So, for example, if you're an affiliate marketer and you teach other people affiliate marketing, you could do a whole series on like 5 ways to monetize ClickFunnels. And then each email has its own tutorial video. And a great tip here too is you can often, if those do well and you're getting high open rates and good responses, you can always take those 5 videos and bucket them together and then sell them as like a mini course for like $27 or $37. I know this is something Melissa Ricker has done and recommends, and I think it's a great tactic. So always be thinking about ways to repurpose your content, and that goes for your emails too. Use video, because we all know that graphics and video do way better, like in social posts. They catch people's eyes a lot more, because people could just passively watch something and not read every word. Like I think we have something like 8 seconds or less to capture people's attention in the news feed, and then they're gone. So same goes for an email. People might read the first few lines and then bounce off. So if you have like a quick video, that's often better. Plus, it's just a fun way to communicate or explain your value proposition. You can get creative and do fun stuff. So again, it could be tutorials, how-tos, or just you answered questions. Video also works great with physical products too. Okay. Okay, looks like I will go over 1 o'clock a little bit. Hope that's okay for everybody. And I'm just texting somebody who I have another call with. Okay, so the next one is the soap opera sequence. Now, again, if you followed Russell Brunson, you're probably already familiar with this, but maybe you haven't tried it yet. I mean, I have to admit, I have not done my own soap opera sequence yet. It's definitely something I plan to do at some point. And the reason is because it's high drama. Just like a soap opera, each email is like its own cliffhanger and keeps people interested. And you build this anticipation, and the point is to get people to, look forward to your email and like basically they can't wait to open the next one. Okay, so this, image is of course taken from .com Secrets. So day 1, you're setting the stage. Day 2, high drama. You're going into your backstory. Day 3, your epiphany, the one thing you discovered that made all the difference. Day 4, hidden benefits of your product or offer. And day number 5 is really like sales pitch, your urgency and CTA. So I'm going to explain all these a little bit more. So the reason why reasons why it's great to use a soap opera sequence is it's the quickest way to build a bond between your audience and your attractive character. Again, for anyone who's read .com Secrets, the attractive character is basically just you on steroids. It's where you share, you're presenting yourself as a leader, an adventurer, a reporter, or reluctant hero. These are the 4 archetypes that Russell breaks down in his book, and you can decide which one you want to be. But it's basically just presenting yourself, creating a persona that's still based on you. It's not false, but it gives people something to relate to and align themselves with. People love having like a hero or an inspirational character to align with. So also the high drama that comes from a soap opera sequence creates excitement and anticipation. So like I said, they can't wait to read the next email because each email is left open-ended and full of suspense. Also, emails create a storyline, and the payoff at the end is your secret sauce. So the thing that you figured out, that you created, that got yourself out of a tight spot, that you are now bringing to share with the masses, right? So this is gonna like get people excited to buy whatever you created. And also each email has its own hook. You build up drama in every email, and then you say that you'll tell them the rest of the story or the secret in the next email. So that hook is in there. So this is what it typically looks like. So email number 1, where you're setting the stage, this is usually a simple thank you email that they receive the second they sign up for your list. So it's just something like, hey, I'm Heidi. Thanks for signing up for my list. The next few days you're going to get a few emails from me, and I'm going to tell you the story of how I almost went broke, started a new business, saved my family, saved Christmas, whatever it is. And, that's it. Then email number 2, you're starting right in with your story. By the way, this soap opera sequence basically maps exactly to the Epiphany Bridge, which we're also taught in One Funnel Away Challenge, but it's also covered in .com Secrets. So chances are, if you've been through that challenge, you already have written this out. So you're just going to go back to that story and piece it out in email format. So with email number 2, you're going right to the backstory part of your Epiphany Bridge. And then you end at the spot where you got stuck and hit a wall. So everybody has that backstory where maybe they were in a tough spot and it was before they created their business, or maybe they had just quit their job and they were trying to be an entrepreneur, but they didn't know how to be successful. They didn't know how to get started. And then they hit a wall, right? Like most of us have been there. So we can all write this email. Then your next email, number 3, is your epiphany. This is where you start to bring in the dawn. So you explain exactly how you got yourself out of your difficult situation or crisis. And this, of course, ties into the solution that you're selling. I mean, honestly, all of these emails are going to tie in somehow to your offer. It's just not going to be really obvious or overt. So like in my example, I had a digital agency. I hit a wall with it. I was tired of it. I wasn't bringing in new leads. I didn't have a specific niche. I wanted to do something different, but I didn't know what. Then I lost all my clients at the same time. It was summer. Nobody was hiring. I was broke. I got depressed. I wasn't sleeping well. I had anxiety, blah, blah, blah. And then I discovered ClickFunnels. This is all true, by the way. This is how I got into ClickFunnels. I was like, I had hit a wall and didn't know what to do next. And this showed me a way forward. So then, and like if I was using this story in my email sequence, I would be like, and then I became a funnel copywriter. And now I help other entrepreneurs launch their own funnels, but with a copy that's actually going to get them sales. And if you want this, you can hire me. Let's work together, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Email number 4, you're going to the hidden benefits. So this is where you'll start pointing out what the reader is going to gain by knowing you and following your plan or buying your product. So by hidden benefits, this just means like things that aren't going to be immediately obvious. So like with me, people know, okay, I can hire Heidi and she'll write my copy and then I can launch my funnel. But I might be like, did you know that with the right sales copy, you can, 10x your sales, or, you're not just launching a funnel, you're establishing a personal brand, things like that. So talk about things that aren't immediately obvious. Then email number 5, this is the last email in your sequence. You're using urgency and a call to action. This is where you'll do your actual sales pitch. The key here is not just to pitch them, but give them a reason to take action right now. So for example, like there's only 4 spots left in my program, only 20 spots left in my webinar registration. This is limited time only. This is the only time you're going to get this low price. After this, it goes up, whatever it is, or I'm taking this down tomorrow. There's lots of CTAs you can use, but don't make it fake. Like actually take down the offer when you say you're going to, or like stop the discount and raise the price if that's what you said you were going to do, because you don't want to be misleading. Okay, so that was a soap opera sequence. The other common email sequence that Russell talks about is the Daily Seinfeld Sequence. So the benefit of this is it can be a great follow-up to the high drama of the soap opera sequence. It's less drama, it's not so hyped up. These are just casual, friendly emails where people can continue to get to know, like, and trust you. So you're just sharing like random episodes from your life and entertaining stories. Now, Russell says he sends these out every day, and he used to be really resistant to that. He said he used to send out 1 email a month, and he wasn't converting that many people. Then he went to 2 emails a month. His income doubled. Then he started doing them every week, then every day. His sales went up and up and up. So even though you might feel like you're annoying people, all you're actually doing is hopefully entertaining them and giving them more reasons to get to know you. So as Russell says, these can be 90% entertainment and 10% content. So you're just basically showing off how fun and entertaining your attractive character is. And why is this called the Seinfeld sequence? Well, because Seinfeld was a show about nothing, famously. So your emails are also about nothing, which they're not actually about nothing, but you're talking about your day-to-day life, and it's not so much tied in with hardcore marketing. You're just sharing pieces of your life and sharing yourself and solidifying that connection. So he says, just talk about nothing. In other words, talk about your day. So some of the questions you can ask yourself or look at when you're writing these are, what's going on in your life? What happened that's embarrassing? How are you getting through the holiday season? You can make them seasonal. What did you buy recently that you love? You can talk about how you bought this course and it's so amazing, or it doesn't have to be a course. It could be like, I signed on for this, or, I bought this gadget that I really love, or I started drinking ketones, whatever it is. You can also talk about what you learned in your business. It's always great to share your process and be transparent. Or what crazy antics did your kid or dog get into yesterday? It doesn't always have to be about you, or it could be something funny that happened in your past that taught you a lesson. And maybe you're just like, oh, I was remembering this today, and let me tell you about it. If you've ever listened to Russell's Marketing Secrets, his podcast that he does from his car, that's pretty much what he does all the time. He'll talk about, I was thinking about this thing that happened a while ago and I wanted to talk about it, or let me tell you about this funny thing my kid did, or he definitely loves to talk about things that he buys, because he's a marketer but also a consumer, and he'll tell you that he loves buying stuff. So that's why he says, in your funnels, give people a lot of options to buy, because sometimes people just want to buy all the things. Okay, so your goal here is to lead people back to your core offer or other product or service. Or maybe it's an affiliate product. So just make sure that you can somehow relate every story back to something you're selling. And then you're just going to continue that conversation on a daily basis. You don't have to link to your offer in every single email. You might just mention it, or you can do a PS. Sometimes I talk about my copywriting services, but I'll do a PS that's maybe you're not ready yet to buy a whole done for you launch copy package. I get it, but here, why don't you could check out funnel scripts and learn how to write good copy yourself, or but that's still kind of an expensive offer. So I might, now that Copywriting Secrets is out, I might link people to that book and just be like, here, go learn more. So yeah, you want to send them out every single day and watch your profits double, triple, quadruple. You can, of course, write several of these ahead Just make sure it's things that are relevant to your day-to-day life and that happened recently. So to set this up, you're going to send these as broadcast emails, not put them in your autoresponder way ahead of time. This is because you do have the goal to write them out every day. I mean, you can write a few ahead, but you do want to at least keep it as close to real time as possible so that you can talk about your daily life as it's happening. Okay. Finally, we're to the last type of email sequence that I'm going to cover. And thanks for hanging with me. I know I've gone over my time. But this is a big one that I think is relevant for most entrepreneurs. And this is why I added some time on so I could include this and started late because I want to make sure to talk about this one because it's a biggie. So the product pre-launch sequence. Now notice I said pre-launch and not actual launch because you want to get people warmed up when you're launching something before you just start hitting them hard with just sales message after sales message. So the goal of this sequence is to let people know about the offer or product you're about to release so that you can drive anticipation, awareness, and excitement. So you would send these out every day leading up to launch day, and then probably on launch day, you're going to send several emails. We've all seen this done before. When something is actually launched, you might get 3 to 5 emails, in the same day about it, which I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's way too much. It's overkill. But, stats show that people, the more emails you send sometimes, the more sales you make because people miss things or they procrastinate, they don't take action. And then once they get that third email, they're like, okay, I really do want this. So I'm just going to, pull the trigger now. So by the way, this pre-launch sequence, like what I'm about to share with you, I got from this book. This is another great one for anyone who wants to launch something. It's Jeff Walker's Launch Formula. So he's kind of the master at this. He's a millionaire because he teaches people how to do product launches, and he's got a whole system for it that has, worked fantastically for him. So this email flow comes from him. So it looks something like this. Email number 1, you're just building anticipation. You're telling people something is coming, and you're letting people know that without instantly making them feel like they're being sold to. So you're just starting the conversation about your product without overtly selling it. Just a second, because I think I have some notes in here on this. Yeah. So email number 2 is going to be curiosity. Again, you're teasing their interest, which also will drive up anticipation. And this is where you'd introduce your hook in a way that grabs people and doesn't let go. So whatever hook you have, on your funnel, in your funnel, or wherever you're selling your offer, use that in this email. So it could be something like, do you want to be able to quit your job by the end of the year and make 5 figures a month? I'm about to show you exactly how and how I did it, my proven method. We've all seen the marketing copy like that. So it would be something like that. But now this is your pre-launch sequence. So you're not going right into your offer yet. So email number 3, this is where you encourage people to collaborate with you. So you're seeing if you can get them to actually help you create the product as you create it. This is why the pre-sell method is so brilliant, because you're creating something that that people are going to want. So this also helps engage them and makes them feel like they're a part of the process. So you can ask questions like, what if I told you I was going to share with you my exact method for making 5 figures a month? What would you want to know? Get people to tell you. You're basically getting them to help you sell to them. And, it's not manipulative. You're creating something that is really going to help them and be useful for them. So then you help turn them from prospectors into cheerleaders. Email number 4, you're going to address objections. If you can do this as early as possible, it will make all the difference in how many sales you'll make. And you can't sell anything until you overcome their objections to the sale. So this is where you're going to ask questions. So you can just be direct about that. Say, hey, what would make you want to buy this today? Or what's holding you back from making the move that's going to give you financial freedom? You can use hooky wording like that, that's going to kind of tap into people's emotions, but you are asking them directly, so that then you can use that information to help you develop your product further. And the reason we do this is great sales copy like addresses objections before they even come up. So before, you're not even giving people a chance to say, oh, I don't know, like, I don't know if this is right for me, or, my wife's not going to like it. She's not going to want me to do this, or I got to check with my husband, whatever it is, you can kind of address those before they become a block. Email number 5, you're actually starting the conversation. So this is where you start getting them engaged in whatever your offer is going to be about, but you're avoiding any technobabble, corporate speak, or anything that sounds too salesy, because that's going to turn people off. It'll spark that, oh, I'm being sold to thing in their brain, and they might disengage. So this is important because you don't want to kill your product before it launches. So you're just going to, again, you're still being conversational, and you're like creating it like it's a marketing dialogue instead of a monologue. So, the subject line might be something like quick announcement and a favor. So you're kind of telling people a little more about what your offer is going to be, and then asking them for some feedback. And that's one example. So number 6, make it fun. There are thousands of things out there battling for your prospects' attentions. Last thing you want to do is bore people. So find ways to inject humor, irreverence, and fun into these emails. So you're like whispering, it's the effect of whispering something to someone in a crowded room. Everyone wants to know what you just said. So go for that feeling in your email. So email number 7, this is similar to number 6. Be unique. You want to find a way to stand out and do things a little bit differently than your competitors. Get creative. Maybe you do a little challenge, or you have people take a little quiz, whatever it is that can like further pique their curiosity and make you stand out in a crowded market. So again, here, maybe it's just asking for feedback before the product is released, and you're letting people become part of the process. So you're giving them like a small part to play in the creation of the product. I feel like those of us in the ClickFunnels world know about this, but you'd be surprised how many companies and entrepreneurs never ask for what their customers actually want before they create something. And then they wonder why their sales don't do well. So you can stand out and be unique just by being the person who does that. Then email number 8, figure out exactly how your market wants to be sold to. So if you already sent out a survey email to your audience, this is where you're going to use that valuable information. You can even cut and paste words directly from your pre-launch survey into these emails. So you're talking about your offer, but it's all backed up with like data from your survey. So there's an old saying in the direct marketing world that's you want to enter the conversation that's already taking place in your prospect's mind. So with your survey responses, that will give you a shortcut to doing exactly that. And this is a really powerful technique. So email number 9, you're still figuring out your exact offer. Again, you can do this from your survey responses. And the benefit of this is you can continue to tweak your offer all the way up into your actual launch based on the feedback you're getting. So in this email, you might be sharing another piece of what your offer is going to be with your audience, and then just ask people what they think, or you could just say something like, okay, this is my offer, guys. What could I add on here to make this irresistible to where like there's no way you wouldn't want to get this immediately? Is it like live Q&A sessions, information products, a private Facebook group, whatever it is? You can make them tell you. And that's going to help you make your launch the best it can be. So email number 10, this is where you start leading into your launch sequence. So you're simply telling your list how excited you are to have your product almost complete. Let them know that they helped you, and like thank them for all their feedback and help. And you're still not being salesy here. You're just asking them to join you as co-creators. So this is going to make your prospects even more excited. They're going to feel like they were part of the process, and they'll be, way more primed to buy because they'll know that you listen to them and you care about what they think. So that's it for the pre-launch sequence. Just a few technical tips as I wrap this up. One thing you can do when you're writing all these different sequences is write all of your emails in one document. And then with most autoresponders, you can import that directly to your funnel, and it will separate it out into different emails or make it easy for you to do that. I know ConvertKit has this feature, so it's more direct sales friendly, and this will just save you some time. This is what I do for my clients. When I write them sequences, I just put them all in one Google Doc. Proofread, this is very important. Either have a trusted person who is good with English, just give it a read over before you send it out, or you can use Grammarly. I think Anna, if you're still on here, she said that Grammarly, I guess, records everything onto their hard drive. I don't know if that's true. I'm not particularly worried about it because I'm not sharing bank information or anything super private, but look into Grammarly if you're worried about any of that. But I use it every day. It's a great tool to just catch any mistakes. Number 3, you want to check all links. If you're sharing links in your email, it's very important to make sure they're the right links. I've gone back and checked emails so many times and realized that the link was broken or didn't, needed to be changed because maybe I changed the funnel or something like that. So most email autoresponders have a preview feature, so you can just send the email to yourself before you send it to your list. And then you can go over it with a fine-tooth comb, click on all the links, look for typos, and make sure it all looks good before you send. And also, tied in with this, you can test the funnel on yourself. So go to your actual funnel, opt in, and then make sure your email sequence triggers and automates correctly. If you have your autoresponder set up, people should get an email from you immediately. If they opted in to get a lead magnet, they should get that within the next hour. So if that's not happening, it's important to know about that. You might need to go back to your funnel and fix some settings. And then it's important to have a follow-up plan. So you might have your initial sequence already created, and then you never do anything with it again. I'll admit I did this with my copywriting funnel. People get an email because they opt in to get one of my free copy templates, and then I have one more email that goes out with a special offer that only goes to that list that's not in my funnel, and then I don't really have anything. So this is a note to self, do as I say, not as I do. I need to go back and it's important to include value emails in your funnel sequence as well. So figure out what makes sense to follow up with people after a month. Maybe people opted into your funnel, took your freebie, and then never came back. You might still be able to grab those people. Or you might just want to remind people who did buy from you that you still exist. Or maybe you added new products to your funnel and you want to let people know. They're not going to keep coming back to check your funnel unless they have a reason. So make sure you have a plan. And that's it, guys. Thanks for hanging in with me. I know I went over. Thanks, Owen. I'm really glad this was helpful. And you can always, anyone who missed this can go back and hit replay. Let me know if you're watching and use the hashtag replay. And I'm happy to come back here and check to see if anyone has any questions. So leave your questions here or come join my Facebook group. I do these trainings there every week as well, since copywriting is my specialty. But really glad that you guys showed, and I'll see you next time. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Bye.